Now on the Hegseth hearing. The takeaway from yesterday's hearing on Pete Hegseth is very clear. Pete Hegseth is woefully unfit for the job of Secretary of Defense. For Mr. Hegseth, yesterday's hearing was an exercise in obfuscation. When confronted about the serious accusations against his character, Mr. Hegseth repeatedly dismissed them as smear tactics, but refused to respond to how these character issues impact for his qualifications for the job. When asked if being guilty of sexual assault is disqualifying for the job of Secretary of Defense, Mr. Hegseth refused to answer. Imagine if any other American interviewing for any other job refused to answer that question. Clearly, more information is needed about Hegseth's background. But when Democrats asked to make Mr. Hegseth's full FBI background documents available to all members of the committee, the Republican chair said no. Why? Why is the Republican chair insistent on keeping relevant information about Mr. Hegseth locked away from committee members? Perhaps the reason for Republican stonewalling is that the more evidence that's revealed about Mr. Hegseth, the more obvious it will become that he is woefully unfit for the job. For Mr. Hegseth, when there are serious allegations, to not answer them directly and instead just call them smear tactics, especially in such an important job like Secretary of Defense where people's lives are on the line, is just totally unacceptable, totally inadequate, and basically an important nominee or nominee for a very important position just ducking the most important questions he faced. Now let me say a few things about why these hearings are so important for our country and to our side. By all indication, our Republican colleagues seem perfectly comfortable with advancing Mr. Hegseth through the Senate, despite his lack of qualifications. Many of our colleagues have private doubts about the nominees, but publicly, they are still willing to embrace them. Donald Trump's hold on Senate Republicans has become very powerful. Nevertheless, we Democrats will continue to push and pressure and scrutinize each nominee in committee because it's so important to get them on record. Americans need to see that many of Donald Trump's nominees are simply unfit for the jobs they've been chosen for. Americans need to hear these nominees answer for Donald Trump's harmful policies. And if some of these nominees are severely unqualified, and many of them are, these hearings are essential for exposing that even if they get confirmed in the end, the information must come out. Even if they are exposed, even if they get confirmed, it is so important to have all these questions asked and see what the answers or lack of answers are. If the time comes months from now that some of Donald Trump's cabinet members fail on the job, these hearings will have served as an important warning for the American people to see. That's why Democrats are committed to ensuring each nominee is vetted thoroughly and scrutinized during the testimony. On Mr. Vote. And one other point, by the way, on why we think the hearings are important. The hearings are also an opportunity to show whose side each party is on. Are these nominees in favor of tax cuts for very wealthy people? Are they in favor of keeping programs that help working class people keep prices down, such as making sure that Medicare can negotiate drug prices, which brings down the price for everybody? Where do they stand? The hearings glaringly show that Donald Trump and his nominees are on the side of the very powerful, and that we Democrats who are asking the questions are on the side of working people. And as the hearings wind through and we go through more and more witnesses, it'll become clearer and clearer to the American people who is on whose side. So it's important to have a record of these nominees, even if they get confirmed in the end, to see who they are and to guard against the dangers that might occur with them in office, and to show who is on whose side.